The Art of Resiliency, my journey of a spiritual transformation. This book tells the story of a person who was covered by the dark shadow of arrogance, disobedience, fear, sins, and weakness. On top of these personal struggles, he also lived through the Vietnam War, rebuilt a new life in the United States, and recovered from a fatal car accident. After this near-death experience, he began a journey of spiritual transformation and became an effective witness of God's grace and love. God sent one soul to Vietnam, a small country where people suffered from poverty and wars throughout its history. I came into this world on April 9, 1960. At that point, the internal struggle between North and South Vietnam has become an international conflict between the powerful world leaders such as China, Russia, and the United States of America. Although I lived in the middle of a war, my parents tried their best to keep me safe. They did everything humanly possible to shield me from the horrors of war so I could have an innocent, happy, and peaceful childhood. My father was a fighter pilot, and it was his job to provide air support and protect the ground troops. He also knew he always has another higher power who gives him air cover from the heaven above. I remember one time, many years ago, when I briefly asked my father about the living conditions in the United States, because he had been there many times for his fighter pilot training with the US Air Force and Boeing 727 commercial pilot training with Boeing. My father told me, in the future, when you go to America, you must remember these two values, hard work and trustworthiness. If you have these two values, then you will do fine in America. When we came to America in 1975, I kept his advice and did my best to work hard and be trustworthy. On April 22, 1975, my father arranged for my mother and three of us to go to the United States on a World Airways flight. We watched the Fall of Saigon on television from California and realized we actually lost everything. However, we were very fortunate to survive the war and had to rebuild our life from scratch in a new country. We had to learn and adapt to the new culture, language, and social environment. I was almost deaf and mute during my first year in high school because I knew very little English. Eventually, I harvested the fruits of hard working and trustworthiness. By 1990, I had a good job as a senior applications engineer in the Silicon Valley and met my fiancée, who was a senior accountant for another computer company. I was at the highest point of my life. I had a promising career and a bright future. At that point, I believed I was the master of my destiny and nobody could change it. I worked hard and planned the wedding in December 1990. That was the path I set, and it was my plan. However, my life changed completely on that fateful Good Friday, April 13, 1990. Just like being struck by a lightning bolt, I lost everything I held firmly in my hand, including my own life. On the way home from Carmel that night, we were in a head-on collision because of a drunk driver. In this near-death experience, I followed my fiancée's soul, but as she was about to enter the light, she said I had to return because I still have something to do. Consequently, I was the sole survivor of this fatal car crash that claimed 3 lives, and my fiancée was one of them. I still remember clearly as I laid there inside the dark emergency room, feeling numbed from the shock, and I heard a loud voice saying, "You plan things, but I make things happen." At that point, I know who spoke to me, and I realized he gave me a second chance to live on earth with a purpose. On this journey, I saw God's invisible hands working and pushing me along the way, especially in the moments I felt overwhelmed, lost, or like giving up. I'm no longer a person who is just a firm believer. Now I know. This spiritual transformation actually allowed me to know and become a living witness of God's grace. I was blessed because I had the opportunity to travel around the world and learn from many cultures and traditions. The Art of Resiliency does not focus only on the ability or how to be resilient. It also concentrates on the characteristics or what is the state of resilience. I found two vital elements that exist in how to be resilient and what is the state of resilience. And they are divine grace and divine love. One of this book's objectives is to help the readers become effective witnesses of divine grace and love. Please click on the following links to order, and please remember to subscribe. Thank you very much.